welcome back to another episode. I'm your nerdy bearded buddy, and today we are looking at Hand in Hand on the Nintendo Switch. Hand in Hand is a 2D split-screen puzzle platformer where the player can control two characters at once, or two players can play in co-op mode on one device. It is developed by Max Media, published by Overgames, and is set to release on Steam and Nintendo Switch on the 11th of May 2024. The story follows two soulmates who live in a fairy tale world. But when evil came to their world, they lost each other. Now, both of them need to head towards each other, facing many difficulties and dangers along the way. And only by finding a fragile connection between one another and going hand in hand will they be able to defeat evil and meet again. It's a story about how we can help one another even when you're apart, and be far from one another even when you're nearby. It's a story about the importance of relationships and mutual support, but every story has an even deeper meaning. The game works in split screen mode, with one character on each screen in their respective locations. The game has two modes. The first is single player, where one player simultaneously controls both characters with one joystick. In this mode, the player must demonstrate sophisticated controller skills. The second is local co-op mode, where two players control the characters using two joysticks. Here, both players control their respective characters. Each mode has its advantages. Single player mode requires you to show great dexterity and reaction speed, and co-op mode allows you to feel the joy of playing the game with your family or friend. Graphically speaking, I thought this game was gorgeous, and I really love the art style here with all the nice vibrant colours. It really felt like I was playing in a fairy tale, and in this aspect, it felt quite unique, while also feeling reminiscent of other games in the same genre. Backgrounds looked nice, and I appreciated some creatures even crawling around in the foreground. I also love the different enemy types and the different level design here. I think it's all got a lot of variety and it's quite interesting and pretty to look at. I played this on my Switch and my Switch Lite for context, and it looks really great on both consoles respectively. However, I do not own an OLED Switch, so keep that in mind. Sound design here is really nice. Rocks crumble, water splashes, it all sounds super crisp and atmospheric, which is important here. Music is also soothing and relaxing when it needs to be, but also tense when it needs to be too. It all works pretty well with the gameplay and the tones it's going for. The gameplay here is really smooth. I only played this by myself because, well, I have no friends to play with. I know, right? Sad reacts. For single player, I feel it works surprisingly well, because I was a bit skeptical about this at first. I thought it would take some getting used to, but it's surprisingly fluid. And honestly speaking, I can say confidently that this would provide lots of fun with a friend or a second player. Think games like Unraveled or Tied Together, where you work together to get through the game. It's the same here, and I reckon there's lots of fun to be had. Because, well, I had a lot of fun by myself. The left controls on the Switch control the top screen, and the right controls on the Switch control the bottom screen here. Each screen interacts with each other respectively when needed to solve puzzles or to progress through the story, and it's really cool. I really liked it. It felt very unique. On both screens, there is an option to zoom in and focus on one screen, either the top or the bottom, when needed to, or if you need to be more clear on something, and I found this to be very helpful. This, at its core, is a puzzle-based game, and the puzzles here are nice. They require teamwork and some light thinking, and weren't too hard in my experience, but they also weren't so easy that they were boring. They felt satisfying and well placed and made. They emphasized the need to work together on both top and bottom screens, and I loved it. Boss battles work well too, and they felt pretty confident, and for some reason, they reminded me of the newer Rayman games. Performance here is good overall, but there were two notable hiccups. The first being that when I paused my game and I came back to it, the controls would not work at all until I had to restart the game. I found this quite annoying. The other was when I closed the game on my Switch after a session of playing this and opened it the next day to continue my journey. For some reason, the characters had clipped through the environment of where I left off, and it was all super zoomed in and I couldn't move ahead or play. So again, I had to restart, and I found this quite annoying too. Happened twice on me. Overall, this game obviously has a lot of love and care put into it, and it's clear the devs are passionate about it. The story is very heartwarming, and it's a nice little indie game. It's very cute. Alright guys, that is my thoughts and impressions, my review of sorts on Hand in Hand on the Switch. Are you going to play it when it comes out on the 11th of May? And if you're watching after the release date, have you played it? Let me know in the comments below. As always, like, subscribe, share this around, and I'll see you in the next video.